Italy have won the World Cup 4 times. They won't be here this one. They weren't here last time or the one before that. 3 tournaments in a row gone. The most embarrassing decline in footballing history, maybe? Not many people are talking about it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FUT IN Review, World Cup Daily. I'm Shaq, joined here with John and Nathan, and we will be here every day. And for Patreon supporters, you'll be able to listen to this podcast straight after recording. And as Patreon supporters, you can also jump in the predictors, the Predictor League, and the sweeps that we have going. So the World Cup kicks in, 11 days, and we are not calm. Nate, John, what do you guys have to say about the World Cup?
Firstly, thanks for having us on. This is a really exciting idea, and I'm very happy to be bringing this to everyone that's listening. World Cup is around the corner, as you say. The friendlies, the build-up has started. I'm starting to get the chills. I love World Cup time. I love watching real-life football. I think this is going to be a really fun period, and hopefully quite a few shocks to come along as well.
Yeah, and I'm happy to talk real-life football instead of game football this time around. Check. Daily has put on some heavy schedule for us though. So daily content that's pretty hefty. To be fair, until this weekend, I wasn't looking forward to the World Championship or World Cup, as people like to correct me. So in Netherlands we say World Championships. I'll try to make it World Cup in the coming weeks. But making this content daily and looking at doing all the research in for this, it's the hype is getting there, but still 11 days to go though. So let's see.
I'm hyped. And also, I think let's just address the elephant in the room. Well, the World Cup in the room. Essentially, this is the biggest World Cup we've ever had. 48 teams, 104 games played in 3 different countries, USA, Canada, and Mexico. 11th of June to the 19th of July. It seems like a really long World Cup. Gents, we've got everything. We've got halftime shows. We've got BTS, Madonna, Shakira, the World Cup final. I just can't believe all this is happening in one. And it's just all, I think we all knew the World Cup was coming, but it's just really snuck up on us. And I think we are here for a really, really exciting World Cup. I know 48 is not something that we're used to, but let's get used to the boring stuff first. Gents, we all know the big teams. We all know the big ones. We've got the Spains, Englands, Brazils, Argentinas of the world. Any thoughts on any of them? And then I would love to hear from you, Nate. Who do you think is this year's golden ticket holder?
So I'm going to be really boring. So to be fair, I've got a vested interest in 2 teams at this World Cup, being English living in Scotland since I was 6. So I'm very happy that Scotland have made a World Cup. I tried to get tickets. I kept my bank balance, thanks me, that we didn't get, because I applied for the Haiti game and the Brazil game, so that would have been very expensive. But England and Scotland I've got obviously a lot of time for. I have to go be a sheep and follow the herd. I do think that Spain have got a very good chance if they can combat the conditions. I watched a bit of Brazil and Panama last night. Brazil also, I think, will be up there. We also have a slight dark horse. When I was doing my research, I've watched a couple of their games recently. Some of the players I've been scouting in my other job. I think Japan are going to surprise a lot of people. They are technically, they're incredible. They're press resistant. I just think that, I don't think they're going to win it, but I think they're going to be the team. There's always a team that caused a few upsets and I think it was at the last Euros, everyone expected Turkey to be phenomenal, and don't know where that came from because they were absolutely shocking. But I think Japan will be a team that make people sort of sit up and go, actually, they're very, very good. So I don't know what you think, John. What's your ideas on it?
Well, I had Japan as a dark horse as well. So there's that. Of course, since I'm Dutch, I'm watching a lot of Japanese players play every single weekend here in the national competition. So the striker Ueda, of course, is from Feyenoord, which is the club I support. Watanabe is a defender. Is also a defender at Feyenoord. There's a couple of players from NEC Nijmegen. And these guys are insanely good. So I think what you said is correct. I think this might be the only team that that presses. And let me rephrase that a little bit, because I'm a little bit afraid. Shaq started hyping up the World Cup 48 club, biggest one ever. Because of 48 clubs, most teams like top 3 in the group stages go through, right? Hence why I expect them to be very, not every team will win, but you don't need to win everything. If you need one or lose very marginal, you might actually still proceed. That makes sense to the next phase. So I'm expecting a lot of these smaller countries to just park the bus basically and just go for draw. And if you get one or two draw, it might actually be enough to go through.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I'm like Japan in the group stage of the Netherlands. We in the group stage where the Netherlands are in with Japan, I think we have actually three pretty decent teams where you need to get scoring in. That Japan will go through, Netherlands will go through easily because I don't think Tunisia is. Unfortunately, they're going to be the ones that just holds the box and see how few they can concede, right? So that gives Japan a good stand, and I think that definitely is like Nate says, Spain the winners. I think everyone says France, basically. I think there's two teams in the top 6, which I think we can't underestimate. One is Brazil,
Yep.
because they have got a coach who actually knows how to work stars this year, right? Ancelotti might just make sure these guys don't fight each other and they go through. But my bet would be Portugal, actually. They got a golden generation there. And
Oh, this is going to be exciting because I disagree with you. I fully disagree with you. And although he's one of my favourites of all time, the reason I disagree with you is Cristiano Ronaldo.
He's not going to play, I think.
Well, I don't know. They like to try and shoehorn him in and they play worse with it. Just to flip it around a little bit, we've mentioned how big the tournament is. So traditionally, we've always had a group of death. We've always had one group that has got 3, even 4 phenomenal teams that anyone could beat anybody. Looking through the tables this year, what do you think about it? Obviously, the expanded World Cup. All these groups have, I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but they all have a dud team in it, if you like, a team that you're expecting the other 3 to beat. Do you like that? Do you like the fact that you could potentially, like, say Scotland could theoretically win a game at World Cup, which is exciting, but would you rather have close groups or would you rather have, a guaranteed win almost?
Look, I think from a World Cup point of view, we always have one team that is not up to the standards in most groups, and it's something that we're kind of used to. I think it's going to be spread across. And look at the countries that we have right now. Curacao, for them, just being at the World Cup is such a monumentous occasion that I think even if
they'll
they
go through though.
do you think? Ooh, that's a red hot take right there. Red hot take. I mean, I do love the fact that there will be some easy games as well for some of the teams because look, we can't really circumvent the fact there's 48 teams in this playing this World Cup. We can't really turn back time. So at this point in time, we might as well see some open-ended games where we can get some more new members to jump in and enjoy the World Cup and what it brings, rather than seeing a 0-0 game. But let's see. I'm hoping for some high-scoring games. I know teams would like to sit back and be defensive, but against some of these guns of France and Argentina and Brazil, I don't know if they can actually hold off for a whole game.
Well, I think that's the only interesting group. The group that France is in, with Senegal, Norway, and Iraq. Of course, Iraq's just going to defend and probably not be able to hold it. But that Norway team is really good. I think Senegal just fights until the last minute, right? And they're used to the heat. Don't underestimate that. I think they can take the literally heat there as well. So I think that could be an interesting group. France usually likes to play compact. They'll go through, of course. But there's 2 things which are really bothered by this whole group stage this year. Is the fact there's 48 teams. I don't care too much, but the problem is that means 3 teams go through in most groups, right?
Yep.
That also means like the whole group stage is it's already sort of sorted. That makes sense. Like I wouldn't say Japan is like an outsider to go through. If you look at the group stage itself, of course they will beat Tunisia, and everyone else in the group will probably make it so that they will go through anyway. So, and the other thing I don't like is the way they set up the knockout phase afterwards, where they put countries in a certain brackets already, so they can't face each other really early. So you can't have like Spain, Portugal really early on. It has to be like a final or a semi-final at the earliest, right? I don't like having that set up. I like the fact you could draw in or have a little bit. And those 2 things, this World Cup is set up to feel as the biggest World Cup ever, but I'm afraid it might start off, except of course if you're your own countries and we'll have outlier matches, but I'm afraid we'll have a lot of duds at the start.
just getting more people involved. I'm all for it. I'm just talking about from the sense of a small country just getting involved, getting a chance to be there. I know we talk about qualifying being the be all and end all, but if the team gets through, just imagine what the impact it has on that particular nation just to follow their team. I know we would love for it to be a 32 team World Cup as always, but it is
Or make
here.
it 64 and at least make proper groups and say top 2 goes through.
True. That's another option. I think we touched upon Spain, we touched upon France, we touched upon Brazil. I think two teams that you guys haven't touched upon is maybe England. Any as native, well, half Englishman, Nate. Any choice words on Hurricanes maybe last World Cup? Thomas Tuchel in charge, a German being manager of an English national squad. It just sits a bit awkward. I think the last time we had an international manager was Capello, and I don't think that went well, did it?
No, I didn't. It didn't at all. That I'm not bothered about because it's all about results for me. But
Which is how they're lined up. So
yeah, exactly. But the selection of the squad, I think, is interesting. When you look through the squad, even being United bias, no Maguire, no Shaw. I think that he's got Rashford and Gordon. Both, like, Gordon's obviously been signed ahead of Rashford at Barcelona now, but he's probably going to go with Rashford over Gordon, going by his team selections, taking Jordan Henderson instead of the likes of Adam Wharton. Just, I think that it's not a good blend. I hope I'm wrong, but
Nate, this team is just built the Arsenal way, isn't it? Just throwing the ball, crossing the ball from corners.
Yeah, but you say that, you've got your probably the best header of the ball, Slabhead, who's not going. And he's also bit on form. He's probably been the best defender in England, like, over the last 12 months. Even objectively speaking, yes, United as a team didn't play well under Amorim, but Maguire's been phenomenal, especially since Christmas.
Can't believe I heard that sentence this year.
Gahey's potentially up there, but he's still got a mistake on him. I don't think you've got a solid 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 plus from anyone else. That
is a shocker I'm not talking from a bias point of view, but I think genuinely leaving Trent out is another thing that is a head scratcher. I know he hasn't played much, but he genuinely, in that particular position, in the right back position, I don't think there's anyone that can actually provide the game-changing moments that from that right back position, anyone else in world football from a right back position can't change a game as much as Trent can.
And when you talk about the low blocks, you need somebody like that. You need somebody that's going to be able to pick that pass, even hit the long ball, hit a set piece delivery. I just think that
you don't need that to Ghana and Panama, though, mate.
But later on,
but then England do kind of the players you've got. You've not got a lot of genuine creative. Like, you've got Jude, who isn't creative. He's very clever, but he's not going to just pick a pass out of nowhere. Fair enough, we've got Anderson there, who's decent. You've got Saka, who, in my opinion, is one of the most overrated players in the squad. Other flank, I'm like, Rashford has his moments, Gordon has his moments, but do you know what I mean? There's not that person. He's not taking Foden, who's had a poor season, so I get him not going. But again,
Palmer?
We've not got that little bit of magic. Palmer has been shocking, I think. He's been injured, but I think he's been poor. So you look at the squad, they've not got a lot of the in-form players or the players in the right form at the moment you'd like them to be. Yeah. So hopefully the few weeks break and work into them can kind of reignite the spark. But from what you're seeing just now, usually I'm quite confident. I've kind of been there through all the golden generations we've had and thinking this is our year. This year I'm like, we're probably going to be a quarterfinal team.
No, I think it'll be interesting to see how England turn out, because for the first time in a long time, I think, well, they've been a team that was overhyped to a team that actually performed really well. Three tournaments back to back under Southgate, they did really well, and this time around, I think the expectations are really low. So let's just see where they end up. I think the only other team is the defending champions, Argentina. I have no idea what a mixed bag it could be. It could be a really good team, Messi's last World Cup, or it could just be fizzle out. It's really hard to know because they've got some really good players all across the pitch, but they don't really have that. I can't think of one centre back that just sticks out in my head there, apart from maybe Lisandro Martinez is the only one that sticks out. I'm missing someone. Maybe Romero, is he injured? John?
Well, I don't want to insult all the Argentina fans on day one of recording this show. So I was sort of in doubt, should I comment on this one or not? But I saw the last couple of matches from Messi. I think the last one was Timberland Wolves or something. What it's called? Portland. I think
Portland.
Portland they played. Messi walks less than I do on a day in my office here. I don't see sure saves energy during the match, but you have to be. They are so dependent on getting him the ball, and I think what Nate says about Ronaldo, it's the same thing with Messi, except that if you look at the individual qualities of the Portuguese squad, I think those are way higher than the current Argentina squad. Sure, they're fighters. Sure, they're used to the heat. Yes, they got Austria in their group, and the rest isn't that bad, so they'll go through anyways. But I just don't see it happen. I think it feels a little bit like, those days where you have like Bayern Munich and they have all top players still there, but you actually know you got to make a selection, you got to push through. I think it's cool to see him once more. But if I saw him play the MLS, sure, he still scores, but he doesn't walk anymore. You can't do it. I don't think you can do that against top teams. So.
Yeah, I fully agree. They've also got quite a lot of players that are currently injured. So it'll be interesting to see, like you're saying, defenders, they've got Molina and Cristiano Romero that are still injured. You've
Romero,
got
who played his worst season ever, I think, as well. So.
Yeah,
exactly. And then even in the attack, and Nicolas Gonzalez at Juve and Julian Alvarez are still currently injured as well. So
Martinez got a great Netflix special, though. If you haven't seen that one yet.
No, we've not. But then going forward, they've always had firepower. You've got Lautaro at Inter. You've got obviously Messi. But the one player that I would be excited for to watch in Argentina, I scouted him years ago at my club. We almost got him, and then an Italian team nicked him, which is very annoying. But Nico Paz. I love Nico Paz. You see, when you watch him, he is an absolute dream to watch. So. Yeah, I've not seen a lot of him since he's gone to Como, but in his younger days where he was sort of a lot more raw, he was very, very good. And I believe he's had a good season this time round. So he's one that I would really like to see, and I hope he thrives because he's got everything to be a very top attacker.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'll just see what happens with Argentina. So essentially, let me just take it. Nate, you say Spain. John, you say Spain as well?
No, Portugal.
You say Portugal, and I say Portugal as well. So yeah, we've got two Portuguese here and one. And what we'll do, listener, is during the first time we introduce the show, each one of our hosts will just actually mention who they think is their eventual golden ticket winner. And I think from a dark horse, I think Nate, who do you have as your dark horse?
I've got Japan.
Japan, and John, you had Japan as well?
Yeah, but I'll go Netherlands then because they're in the same group. So.
Look at this man. That's a first world problem, trying to make Netherlands as a dark horse. Well, look, fair enough. They're not at the scaling heights that they used to be. But for me, I think I'll choose Norway just because they put Italy out of the World Cup, I think. They have France and Senegal in their group, but I think...
Well, technically, Bosnia did. But...
Well, true. But... I think Norway had 8 wins in 8 qualifying games. They scored 37 goals. They beat Italy home and away. Haaland scored 16 in those 8 games. And look, I just hope for their sake, for their country's size sake, and for Envy's sake, that they do a really good showing at the World Cup. I'm just really hoping that they do something.
Do you think heat will have an impact? Because some of these areas in where they play are like, when I see the Netherlands play, I think the coldest it will be is it going to be like 35 degrees or something.
Could be.
Although Belgium, I saw Belgium got a golden ticket. I think they play in Seattle most of the times around 18 degrees Celsius. So
yeah, but I don't see Belgium doing an awful lot.
Me neither, but at least they got the weather with them.
They do, but no, the heat and the climate's going to be a massive factor, I think, this time. I think that's why I was kind of hesitant for Spain and thought maybe someone like Brazil could potentially do it because they'll be more used to it. Be interesting to see how the African teams get on as well, because sort of Senegal, I think, they've got a shout to at least put a lot of pressure on them. Like I said, it was at
Morocco, maybe.
Morocco. I always like Morocco, but I always tip them for the African Cup every year, and it's a bit.
You can't swap towels this year, though.
Well, it's like when Ivory Coast had the dream team when they had like sort of Drogba, Kalou, the Tourés. Always thought they were going to go far into all these tournaments, and they always bottled it. So that would be quite interesting to see how they get on. So yeah, it's really hard to call because there's so many different factors. There is a lot of factors, and there's a lot of games as well. So we talk about the games in terms of the teams you're up against, but we don't talk about the quality, the number of games in terms of injuries as well. Because over the last 2 years, you've had a lot of very top elite level players complaining about the amount of domestic football that we have to play. So it's interesting to see if they still have the same problems representing the country with the extra, however many games it'll be, 10 games or whatever as well. The likes of Rodri, who's injury prone, but he would be key to Spain. It'd be interesting to see how these sort of players hold up in the climate of 30-degree plus heat for that consistent basis.
Can go the other way around as well, though. If you look at the Netherlands, many players got injured, like Frankie de Jong. Now on the way back, and they start off refreshed and eager to go. So could be the other way around. I think this is always hard to say. What I do think going to be an issue is when I look at some of these last group stage matches, and when the next round starts, I don't know, half the team, but like 40% of the teams will have like 2 days rest. That's it. That's going to be hard, though.
It is,
especially if there's something to play for.
You'd still take 2 days rest for $300,000 a week pay packet. Like, let's be honest, I don't buy into the whole complaining about fixture congestion when you're on that amount of money. You just make yourself.
No, but
fine.
Still, no matter how even if you would not get paid, you play with 35 degrees. You play a full-on match. The day after will definitely hurt, and the day after that, you're already playing. I mean, or at least you got to prepare for the next match. And the day after, when everything sort of starts feeling a little bit refreshed, you got to play again.
I don't know if all the pitches are even regular turf pitches. There are some that are not really the AstroTurf, but they are the hybrid. So that could have an impact on people's legs as well. That's something that always happens.
And they've only just laid a couple of the pitches as well. There was a friendly on one of them last night. I can't remember what game it was, but I saw the video of it last night where they were doing the warm up and they were throwing the ball in the air and bouncing it and testing it out. Yeah. And
that was on the training pitch, by the way.
Oh, was I was going to say there was absolutely no bounce on it at all. So it'd be interesting to see how these recently laid pitches kind of go on, because I know that traditionally it takes quite a long time for these pitches to knit together when they roll out the differently. They've obviously just roll out one roll, another roll, sort of wedge it together and hope that it knits and grows together. So yeah, we've seen in the past that fresh pitches also tear up really badly. You do get a lot of sort of joint injuries. So yeah, it's fascinating. I'm excited because I just love watching football, even if it's going to be at, I think Scotland game in a couple of weeks is at 2:00 in the morning. So that's going to be a very late night. But you can't complain when there's lots of football on the TV and Scotland are at a World Cup for once.
I gotta admit, I'm very much curious to Congo tegen Uzbekistan.
Hey, you never know. In the World Cup, sometimes these games produce the most fun events. And for me, speaking from myself in a selfish point of view, this World Cup is amazing because I get to watch 2 a.m. for you guys. It's 12 in the afternoon for me. So I'm looking forward to it. Bring it on. Gents, before we move on, quickly, we just have to acknowledge that this tournament actually is Messi and Ronaldo, both playing their 6th World Cup. They debuted on the same day on June 17, 2006 in Germany, 20 years ago. And here they are again for the last time. If the bracket plays out, they could meet in a final. A Messi versus Ronaldo final. Look, I wouldn't put it past some of the organizers to try and get this done for a Messi-Ronaldo finale, but that could always happen. But look, this is one of the times that I think we just, as football fans, need to sit back and just look at what they've done for us for the past 25 odd years, 20 odd years at least, and what they've done on an international stage, and just respect what they've done and just enjoy them for one final time on the big grand stage. So yeah, let's keep that going. Right. Jen, any thoughts about Messi Ronaldo at all before we move on to?
Just briefly, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because I think both players have got phenomenal history. They're probably the 2 best of like anyone's lifetime in the history of football. Everyone's got their views on who's better and what way. We can't go into that just today, but shoehorning them into a team, like you say, Portugal, if they don't play Ronaldo, I think will be up there. If they try and shoehorn Ronaldo in as the starter, I think that'll be detrimental, as much as I love him. Same with Messi. I don't think he's half the player he was before. It's going to be very interesting to see how they both perform, if they get minutes, and if they're going to be the focal point of the World Cup being their last ones, or whether there's going to be a new story emerging.
All I could say is, if you saw the man celebrating the victory with Al Nassr, he wants a big title. He is going to be up for it, and let's just hope for his sake that he does something. Right, gents, the World Cup starts in 11 days, and we're going to be here for every single day for it. daily recaps, talking points, the moments you can't miss. 3 things before you go. Follow us on Instagram at Foot in Review and on TikTok at Foot in Review Podcast. 2 5-star reviews on the podcast right now would be great. It takes 10 seconds and helps us reach more people. And send this episode to a mate of yours who watches football. Just one. That's all we ask. We just want you to be here with us along with our journey. We'll be back here tomorrow. See you then.